Welcome back to another Uncle Lee Wednesday. Ask Uncle Lee Wednesday. All right, this is the show where you can ask any questions you want to about the topic at hand, being occult, witchcraft, magic, spirituality, um, demonology, etc., etc., etc. All right, so let's get into today's questions. But first, my little intro. All right, first question is from Kerry Strahler, 3973. Uncle Lee, per the LBRP video you did years back, you mentioned particular care needed to avoid unintentionally banishing things you want to keep. How does one go about intentionally keeping those things when doing the LBRP? Does one hold them in their mind when doing the ritual? Okay, kind of a tricky question, actually, but possibly not. Depends on who you talk to. In my interpretation of the whole thing, if your intention is to reset your space, banish everything from it, good, negative energies, everything, just reset the space that you're in, then that's what's going to happen, and therefore you're going to push everything away. You're going to neutralize everything. If, however, your intention is to do a banishing, which is just cleansing negative energy from your own body, that's what's going to happen. And this is something I've actually said in the past, and it's quite interesting, I find. If you read Jason Miller's book Protection and Reversal Magic, the first edition, his recommendation is to do a banishing multiple times a day. Do a banishing rite in the morning, in the evening, and if you can, more than once a day, more than twice a day. And then he comes along with the second edition, and he adds a note in there that he's changed his mind about this. Absolutely fine, perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. But the reason he's changed his mind is because he now believes that if you're doing regular banishings, you could end up banishing things from your life that you want and you need in your life. And I really think this comes down to intention. If you are going to be doing a ritual, and you're going to be doing various different invokings, banishings, etc., in order to, whatever the work is, create a talisman, create a servitor, whatever the work is itself, but you're doing a ritual. You're going to want to go into that ritual and reset the space. So that banishing rite is going to be literally neutralizing everything in your working area so that you can then set it up as a fresh new space. There's no energy in there, and then you bring in the energies you want, particular energies you want in order to do the work you're going to do. If, however, you are doing something like a banishing rite on a daily basis, that's going to have a completely different intent. That's going to be for cleansing purposes, to just cleanse yourself of negative energy. So you can still do exactly the same ritual, in my interpretation, my understanding, but the intention is different. All you're doing is you are removing negative energy from yourself. You're not, or from your home, from your space if you want to, but it's just the negative energy. You're not resetting the space because the intention is not to do a ritual where you want to reset the space and then pull in particular energies. You just want to get your day started. It's like taking an energetic shower, okay? So for me, it all boils down to intent. I came from the opposite direction that Jason Miller did. I came from the understanding that if we are doing regular banishings every day, we are resetting our space every day, and therefore we're removing everything from our immediate environment. Good, negative, everything. And therefore you could end up banishing things from your life that you want in your life. My tune has now changed. As I said, this video was done years ago. But since then I have changed, and my understanding now is it's about intention. So I do a banishing rite that I created on a daily basis. Every morning I do it. And it's really just an energetic shower, just to get rid of the negative energy, and then I can start my day, and I'm nice, clean, and fresh, and tra la la. So for me, that's my understanding. Just boils down to intention. Okay. Hope that answers that. All right, going on to the next one. Just check. Yeah, I'll do 3 today because the third one's very, very short. Max Blizzard. Hi, Uncle Lee. What are your thoughts on the book Demons of Magic by Gordon Winterfield? It was an interesting read for me, but when summoning the demons, he states that you should call on the angelic emissaries of each demon and recite from a psalm. He states that invoking the demons without this is not safe. It doesn't sit comfortably with me after all this studying I've done. What do you think? Thanks in advance, Max. So this really started with Dr. Rudd, the Goetia of Dr. Rudd, or the Goetia of Dr. Rudd, where he equated the 72 demons with the 72 angels from the Shem Hamfarash. Now, not something I do myself. I did look into it a while back, and it just doesn't click with me. But I do understand why some people do it and where it comes from. So, as I said, it comes from the Goetia of Dr. Rudd. And he did this, and what happens is the intention is that you have a seal, and the seal has the sigil of the spirit on the one side, and then the sigil of the angel on the other side. And then you recite the psalm that is associated with that particular angel. And I don't particularly think there's anything wrong with this. I don't think it's got to do with safety or anything like that, There's this idea that you have to invoke the angels and all of that stuff, especially when you're working with the Goetia. You have to invoke the angels and God and Jesus and all that stuff, depending on which grimoire you're working with, in order to create that safety. But yeah, it's not really something I don't actually think that's the actual root reason for it. I believe that it has to do with a balancing. You have the sonic and the celestial, and if you then invoke the aspect of the sonic with the aspect of the celestial for that particular thing, you are kind of pulling in. It's almost like uniting a duality, bringing those two things together in order to create or unite the entirety of the body of that thing. That's kind of what I think it actually gets to. But my difficulty here is that when it comes to the 72 angels, it's the name of the 72 names of God, and they originally weren't angels. They were forces, energies, but they weren't originally considered to be angels. That's a development that happened over time, and they have become angels now. Yeah, and the names kind of differ because people take every one of them just has 3 Hebrew letters, and the interpretations, the pronunciations of that. Some people get it right, some people get it wrong. I think, but it's not something I follow myself. But that's what he's getting at here, and it's, as I said, it originates with Dr. Rudd. That's all we can really say about that. It's just one way of working, and it's an interesting way. It's something you might want to experiment with and explore. And I think depending on your frame of mind, how you actually view this, your own personal perspective, it can change from what the author actually may have been explaining. Not this, you shouldn't be doing it because otherwise you're not protected. It's more about bringing in those two halves to unite them and create a whole body. The other difficulty I have with this is that the 72 spirits of the Ars Goetia, or Ars Goetia, is something that was created at a later stage. The Goetia is a compendium of various other grimoires that were written previously. I could be wrong. I'm not entirely sure. The original Solomonic grimoire did not have 72 spirits. It could have. I can't remember now. Um, but the spirits that are in the Ars Goetia are just a compendium of spirits that have been taken from various other grimoires, and they just settled on 72. I'm not sure. It may have been because of the 72 names of God. It may have been for some other particular reason. Maybe 7 plus 2 equals 9. 9 is a divine number. I don't know the reasoning behind that. But this addition of the 72 angels with the 72 demons is obviously a modern inclusion. I just want to check on Dr. Rudge, who he actually was. Let's just have a look. Not even sure if he was. Oh, Thomas Rudd. Yeah, he was around 1583 to 1656. If that's the same person, let me just double check. The eldest son of Thomas Rudge of Higham Ferrers, Northamptonshire. He was born in 1583. I'm just trying to see if it's the same guy that wrote or experimented with the occult. Yes, Rudd has been claimed as an occultist. Peter J. French writes that he was steeped in Hermeticism and an admirer of Dee's Monas Hieroglyphica. Among the Harleian manuscripts is a Hermetic treatise that has been attributed to Rudd. According to the Goetia of Dr. Rudd by occult author Stephen Skinner and David Rankin, Rudd was at the center of a group of angel magicians. Okay, so there we go. Thomas Rudd, born in 1583. All right, so that's really the spirit we are talking about there, or the person and the reason behind the whole thing. Yeah, not really sure what else I can say about that. So let me just go do this one quickly. It's a very short one because there's not really much we can say about this. It's from Danielle Sullivan 4846. Thank you for the question, though. I'd like to have a better understanding of legions. How many demons are in a legion? What is your role? Do they have a similar energy of the demon who oversees them, etc.? Just an interesting topic. So when you're talking about legions, there's no specific number. Legions really just means many. If you're talking about, the inclusion of this idea in the grimoires like the Ars Goetia, where it talks about the spirit has 30 legions of spirits under them, or that they govern legions. As I said, there's no specific number of what a legion actually is. It's just a group of spirits. But this is a. I'm not really. This is not really something I follow. This really is a very Christian worldview type of thing. And when it comes to the grimoires themselves, again, it's Christian worldview, it's Christian mysticism, it's Christian magic. And when you know what they're talking about this hierarchy. So you have this spirit which has legions of demons beneath them, or they govern legions of demons. There is a possibility that what it really is referring to is familiars, but the amount of people that a particular spirit of the Goetia would have interacted with, have asked for help, and that help usually relates to giving of a familiar to them in order to go and help them. Whether that comes back after the task is done, I'm not really sure. I mean, this is very, very difficult to answer, actually, but it's probably in reference to things like familiars. They have legions, and again, we don't know what that number is. There's no exact number to that, but they have legions of entities that fall under their purview, so to speak. And we could say that these are familiars. And if you go to one of them, you ask for help with particular magic, they'll probably give you a familiar for a lifetime or just a period of time until that work's done and the familiar goes back to them. That's probably what we're talking about, in my interpretation anyway. This idea of legions always comes back to this idea of Christian worldview. Let's actually have a look quickly. We'll do a little bit of investigation. If legion actually has just roots in Christianity. So definition, a division of 3,000 to 6,000 men, including a complement of cavalry in the ancient Roman army. A vast number of people or things, great in number. Okay, legions referring to demons. In the New Testament, legion is a group of demons, particularly those in 2 or 3 versions of the exorcism of the Gerasene demoniac. An account in the Synoptic Gospels of an incident in which Jesus performs an exorcism. Legion is a large collection of demons that share a single mind and will. Okay. So there's not really any reference to number apart from the Roman army where it's 3,000 to 6,000 within the infantry itself, or infantry with cavalry. That's really the only number we can come up with. But in terms of the idea of demons, it is definitely a Christian thing, a New Testament thing. And therefore the grimoires that sort of have that mentioned, it's Christian worldview at the end of the day. Yeah, but that would be my interpretation, that it's not really a hierarchy thing. They don't like, it's not this levels of hell, because I don't believe that myself. But it is this idea of having familiars that they can give to people who ask for help, and then the familiars go and help with the whatever it is, the magic, the attainment of knowledge, help with business, etc., etc. And then if the task is completed, they'll probably go back, or it could be, you could dedicate yourself to a particular spirit, a particular daemon, and you may get gifted a familiar for your entire lifetime to help with all your tasks. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so that's it for today, and we'll come back with more next week. Have a good one. Cheers for now. Bye-bye.